Hello friends, welcome back. In this third session, we will handle 5 very important interview questions from deep learning. We have had about 10 questions each in the previous couple of sessions and I hope it was useful to you. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and type it in the comment section. I'll be happily answering your questions. Let's get into the questions straight away. Explain the structure of VGG16. It's very simple yet a very important question. VGG16 is one of the most famous and most common architectures used in deep learning, and it has got first two layers as convolution layers, which is followed by pooling, and then again two convolution layers followed by pooling, and then three convolution layers followed by pooling, then 3 again followed by pooling, and finally 3 again by pooling, and 3 dense layers are there in the last 3 layers. So totally if you see, you have got 2 convolution layers followed by max pooling, 2 convolution layers again followed by max pooling, 3 convolution layers followed by max pooling, 3 convolution layers followed by pooling, and then 3 convolution layers again in pooling, and then finally it is dense. This is the way you can explain it to the interviewer. This is very simple yet a very important question. We have got these many layers which is packed together to construct the VGG16. Now explain the architecture of AlexNet. Yes, this is also an important question. So you may be asked to differentiate the VGG16 and AlexNet architecture in a nutshell. So how do we do it? This one is very easy for you to draw and you have explained it. Similarly, I have made a picture of my own where you can understand how many layers are there. The first layer is a convolution layer followed by max pooling, convolution layer followed by max pooling again, 3 convolution layers without any distraction or max pooling in between. It is all 3 convolution continuous layers and then followed by max pooling. Then fully connected layers are there, 2 fully connected layers followed by softmax activation. That's it. So you've got CVL, which is convolution, max pooling, convolution, max pooling. 3 layers of convolution followed by max pooling, and then 2 fully connected layers followed by softmax layer. This is the difference between the AlexNet and VGG16, or when you are asked appropriately to explain only AlexNet, you can draw this and explain. Now, how to enable padding in the Python code for the deep learning applications? This very important questions because most of us will use it without knowing what it is. When you use the function or method conv2d, you can see that here convolution 2d is the method that I'm using. There padding is one of the arguments and one of the fields where if you mention as valid, the padding will not happen, which means there is no padding which is going to happen. So you can see that here convolution 32, kernel size is 4 cross 4, ReLU activation followed by padding as valid, which means no padding will happen. Padding if is equal to valid, there is no padding which is going to happen and the shrinking will happen. The size of the input image input matrix will be reduced further. Sir, how do you say it, sir? When I run this, you can see that in this layer it is 27, 27, 32. Then there is a padding, then there is no padding. So you can see that here, you can see that no padding, it is valid. So it has been shrinked 23, 23, 64, and further it has shrinked as 18, 18, and this is how it works. But how do we enable padding? How do we want zero padding to happen? Very simple. In the padding field, make it same. If you make the keyword same and the padding, you get it prevented from shrinking. So the dimension will get retained. For an instance, you can see that here 30, 30 is the input dimension. There is nothing. So the zero padding is enabled. The zero padding happens and it is 30, 30 retained here. It is again 30, 30 retained here during the third convolution as well. So the point is simple. If you want padding to be activated, if you want the size or dimension to be retained, you need to make padding as the same. If you want it to be shrinked, if you want no padding to happen, you need to make it valid. This is a very important question. Remember it. Now, the next question. Differentiate traditional neural networks and the recurrent neural networks. Very simple. First point, let us understand that RNN is also ANN. RNN is also one of the types of ANN. The output of the previous step is fed as the input to the current step when it comes to RNN. Remember, the output of the previous step is fed as an input. That is nothing but the feedback to the current step. So it is the approach which is different. So when you go with traditional approach or even CNN, there is no point of feeding the output back to the next stage or the previous stage. There is no memory. So there is no feeding back. The first level and the second level are independent to each other, which means when I get the output, that's all. There is no dependency between the output and the previous layer. So traditionally, the input and the output are certainly independent to each other. And remember this point, we never remembered the previous state fully to go ahead with the traditional neural networks or CNN. But when it comes to RNN, it remembers, which means it has got memory like you and me. This is the simple structure that I have presented here. There is an output, there is an input. The input layer goes here, there are hidden layers, and the output is generated. So once the input is fired, there is no relationship between this layer and this layer. So there is no connect, there is no memory. But when it comes to RNN, when the input is fired, there will be hidden layers where there is feedback that keeps going. So there is a hidden state and it is called the memory. And based on that, there will be processing. So output comes only then. So whenever you have memory in between, you call it RNN. Whenever you have the hidden state, we call it RNN, and memory is important, right? That's the most important point that you need to remember. Now differentiate RNN and FNN. It is nothing but feed forward neural networks. It has to be FNN. I made it FFN in the picture. It is FNN, right? So what is a feed forward network? Very simple. The data navigates from the input layer to the output layer. That's how everything works, right? It goes from the left to right. The data moves through the hidden layers and it goes to the right hand side corner and you get the output. The information never comes back to the previous state in the flow. You can see that here. I send the input, it goes to the hidden layer, it comes here, it goes output. There is no looking back. There is no coming back. It doesn't look into the previous state at all. So once it is sent, it is always forward. It goes from left to right and there is no right to left at all. One particular state is not visited, one particular node is not visited the second time in this flow. But when it comes to RNN, we should remember that there is a concept of hidden state and memory, which is nothing but there is a loop. The information goes through the loop. And in the RNN, as I told you in the previous question, there is memory component available, and the memory will remember what is the output of the previous state, and that will also be playing a major role. And that's why RNN is used in predicting the stock market exchange values, predicting the market values. Like that we can use. Only when you remember, you can predict. That's it. I have differentiated RNN and the traditional neural networks. I have differentiated the RNN and the feed-forward networks. I explained you clearly how the architecture of VGG16 and AlexNet are different, and I hope it was useful. If you have any questions, suggestions, please go ahead and type it in the comment section. I'll be able to answer them. If you like the channel, please subscribe. Thank you.